A question that I saw asked was, who does Terence Crawford fight next? Obviously, if Spence wants to do the rematch, they're going to do the rematch. Whether that's at 47 or 54, we'll see. The question is really, what is left for Crawford? Assuming they do the fight and he wins again versus Spence, or they don't do the fight, where does Crawford go from here? Who is even out there that would even be an interesting fight and a big money fight for Terence Crawford going forward? Okay. I have come up with a list of potential opponents that Crawford can fight that would be big money fights that I think would be things that he would entertain. The first one, Jermell Charlo at 154. Obviously, Crawford was undisputed at 140. He's undisputed now at 147. He wants to be undisputed at 154. What better way to do it than fight the undisputed champion, Jermell Charlo, a guy who has the same trainer as Errol Spence, so they could use that as a selling point. And Crawford and Jermell Charlo really don't like each other. With Crawford and Spence, I feel like it was business, but there was a mutual respect, and they fought. Crawford and Charlo, those guys legit do not like each other. And I think that would be a great fight. The problem is Jermell Charlo is fighting Canelo at 168. And because the other Charlo brother couldn't do the fight and Jermell stepping in, now this ruins the plans of Crawford and Jermell Charlo, because Charlo, he's going to 168. He said he wants to come back down before the fight. I saw him with Brian Custer on the television screen, and he said he wants to come back down to 154 after 168. I doubt he's going to come back down to 154. He probably goes back down to 160 and then starts to, try to win vacant titles from there. I don't think the 154 thing is happening anymore. And we lose out on a great fight. So I think that fight probably won't happen. Other potential opponents, Jaron Ennis. Young guy, strong, undefeated. Number 3 going into this fight in the welterweight division behind Crawford and Spence. However, you had that Spencer Crawford, Crawford Spence, but he was number 3, Ennis. That, to me, seems like a very good fight they can make. Old guy, I don't want to say old, but Crawford is 35, soon to be 36, versus the young guy, the champion versus the young, hungry contender. That's a good fight. To me, that's the fight I think that would be best. That's most realistic. Another guy he can fight is Keith Thurman. Now, Keith Thurman seems to be past his prime and on the back end of his career, but he was the unified champion, and that still is a big name fighter that he can fight. And with John Porter retired and already defeated by Terence Crawford, and Dan Garcia's at 154, and I just don't think there's a lot of interest in that fight, to be honest. Keith Thurman probably is the next biggest money fight he can make after Spence, Ennis, and Charlo, and maybe even bigger than Ennis. I don't see anybody else at 147 that could be interest. Maybe you could go Conor Benn if you want to do the UK thing. Maybe Josh Taylor moves up from 140 to 147. Get that UK money. But again, it's going to be a tougher sell, but maybe they could do that. At 54, like I said, Charlo, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think a guy that he could fight is Tim Tszyu. That is a guy who there would be interest. It would be a new weight class. He would be being the top guy at the weight, assuming Charlo is not coming back. He's undefeated, Tim Tszyu. That's a good fight, honestly. I think that's a good fight. I would favor Crawford in the Tim Tszyu fight. I mean, I would favor Crawford in all these potential matchups, and I think he would be the favorite in all these potential matchups based on what he did to Errol Spence this past Saturday night. But I think that would be something that would be of interest, that to the public. Maybe Virgil Ortiz. He's had problems making the weight at 147. 54, Virgil Ortiz, he's stronger, he's energized, and he is undefeated as well. So to me, those are the guys that he could fight. Virgil Ortiz, Jermell Charlo potentially, Keith Thurman, Tim Tszyu, Ennis, possibly Josh Taylor or Conor Benn. But I don't see anyone really interested in the Stanionis fight, to be honest with you. I don't think that there are really any other names. Rocha, I don't think people care about that fight. Tony Harrison at 154, people don't care about him anymore, and he's probably going to retire. And I like Tony, so I'm not knocking him. Brian Castano. There aren't a lot of names that I think people care about. So I think those are the fights that he'll be interested in. Assuming that, obviously the Errol Spence fight, he is the rematch clause. That's the fight that would happen next. A lot of people were talking about could he get to 51-0 and surpassing Floyd Mayweather's record. First of all, I think the record is not significant because I don't care if you're undefeated and it's not shot Floyd, but just in general, there have been guys that were higher than 50-0 in the past and they got defeated. Yuri Boy Campus was 54-0. Julio Cesar Chavez was 87-0. So the record's not important, but I don't think it's going to happen because I don't think Crawford's going to fight 11 more times anyways. I think he's got a few more fights left and then he retires and walks into the sunset. So these are the potential fights that he could fight. Let me know what you guys think and what are some potential fights that you would want to see Terence Crawford in. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Peace.